What up, guys? This is the 7-day course, 7-day training, 7 crucial calibrations for gaming in Japan that many foreigners mess up on. All right, so over the course of the next 7 days, I'm going to go over these 7 things and kind of break down in as much detail yet as short as possible to keep things as distilled down as possible. I'm going to break down for you what these main 7 mistakes that I see guys make when they're coming from a foreign country, coming from that cultural background, coming into Japan and not really understanding how kind of romance is a little bit different in Japan than where they're originally from. All right, so these are some of the things that I see most frequently in guys where they're messing up, where it might even be something that they learned from a foreign pickup material or foreign coaches that needs to be tweaked, that needs to be modified, that needs to fit into Japan a little bit better, okay? So hopefully this will clarify a lot of things to you and be very actionable and practical stuff for you guys today. All right, let's get into it. Number one, first day, leadership. All right, the way that leadership is incredibly important in Japan. It's important everywhere. Now, this is one that's important in all sort of, anywhere you do game, you're going to need this, but the degree to which it's important in Japan is perhaps far more than in anywhere else, or Asia in general, right? Or it's more important in Asia than anywhere else because it's a highly patriarchal society, all right? So we're going to get into some examples of what I exactly mean here by calibrating your leadership to Japan game, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is dad frame. All right, now dad frame is a way that I like to describe how to convey, how to carry yourself or interact in regards to women that you are with and interested in, okay? So coming from, especially if you're from Europe, a lot of people, especially from places like France, very much want to have this sense of mutuality with the woman where you're together, you're engaging each other, you're both, there's some give and take, some back and forth, and you both kind of walk this path together, and she does some things and you do some things, right? And this is true also, in the US as well. It's pretty common fantasy for guys to want women to like sometimes take initiative or sometimes engage the situation and enjoy and initiate sex or something like that. But in Japan, while it may happen, it's very, very unlikely to happen. And if you sit around waiting for something like this to happen, it's just not going to work out well for you most of the time, all right? So to combat that, we have dad frame. All right, now what is dad frame? It's essentially, if you break it down really simply, it is behaving towards the girl as if you are her father, all right? Now, how can we think about this? Let's get into a little bit more detail. One way I like to think about this is driving the car, okay? So if you think of you have a family car and your daughter is sitting in the seat near you, next to you, or behind you, or whatever. You're driving the car, right? You are in charge of the car, the interaction, the destination, where things are going. And, the other person has some opinions, right? So let's say you're going to dinner. You're a family, or maybe you're a single father, whatever, with driving around with your daughter, and you want to go to dinner. You're taking your daughter out to dinner, okay, because you love her, right? Now, the daughter says, maybe it's like a little 4-year-old or something, right? Daughter's like, hey, Dad, look, there's Dairy Queen, or there's my favorite ice cream shop right there. Let's just go there. Let's go there. I really want chocolate ice cream, right? Now, as a dad, are you just going to take her to that ice cream shop before she's had dinner? Well, I hope not, right? You're going to want to take her to dinner first. So are you going to let her just influence you, say, okay, sure thing, yeah, let's go, right? Turn the wheel and turn in? No, right? You're the one who's driving the car. At some point here, you have to put your foot down and say, look, we can do your thing, but we're going to do it after we do this, right? So we're going to do dinner. We're going to do dinner now. We're going to go to this place, but, maybe afterwards, maybe next time we can get some ice cream, okay? This is going to inform sort of how you're leading, how you're moving your interactions with women who you are engaged with, because ultimately, if you stop, if you change your plans immediately or constantly for every request that they have, it's not going to end up going where you want, and they're not even going to be that attracted to you for doing that. Okay, so it's important to not let the girl sort of hijack the interaction and then grab the wheel and turn the wheel sharply, right? And if they do that, you just don't have to get angry about it, but just maintain control over the interaction. Say, you know what, no, this time we're going to do this, we're going to do this plan, but next time we can do your thing, right? This is a very important way of keeping control of the interaction, making sure that you're leading. The caveat here is it has her best interests at heart, okay? So you're not doing this because you hate her. You're not ignoring her because you hate her. And in fact, you're listening to what she has to say, but you're not easily going to be swayed because ultimately you are the ultimate decider, and you have, control over the interaction. You know that for your daughter, it's if she eats ice cream, she's not going to eat her vegetables, right? If we go to this other plan, this other thing, maybe it'll be fun, maybe it won't. It's important to keep, keeping the interaction going in the direction you want to, because you have her best interests at heart, right? So it's not like you're just ignoring her. It's not like you hate her or something. It's your daughter, right? You love your daughter. That's why you're staying in charge of the interaction, okay? Take control and responsibility. This is kind of basically just a summary of all of these things. Stop doing that. All right. Now, take responsibility. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. All right. So it's your agenda, not hers. Your agenda, not hers. Your plan, not hers. So when you're scheduling a date, for example, you don't want to be like, oh, what kind of food do you like? What kind of places do you like? Where is convenient for you to meet? Just decide a place that's convenient to you. Venues which are convenient to you, that you like, right? Things that you like, and she will come along for the ride, for the journey. She will come along because she's taking a part in your plan. She's seeing where things go with you. She's getting the experience of you, including whatever activities and venues you want to show her, right? You're taking her under your wing and showing her your world. All right, so this is important that it's about your agenda, it's about your timing, it's about your venues. So timing, what does this exactly mean? Well, let's say she's like, oh, let's go to this thing at this time and then do this thing at this time. You can and should take back control of that, okay? So you should be the person who decides the venues, who decides when you're going to the venue and when you're leaving the venues, right? So, it should be you. If you're sitting down at a dinner, you should be like, all right, well, it's about time to go to the next thing, so let's finish up here and let's go, right? Or if she's got a little bit left of her drink and you want to move things forward, just be like, all right, well, just finish your drink and let's get out of here, right? Don't be afraid to take control of the timing in addition to the venues and your overall agenda. All right, take responsibility for the plan. So for the plan, whatever plan you have, right, it should be, again, convenient to you, near an isolated place. Now this mostly is for, dates especially, but if you're meeting a girl for the first day, you would like to at least move her sort of in the direction that something later could happen, right? So towards your house or towards a hotel or towards some sort of logistical, reasonable, isolated place that you can take her to, all right? So deciding something is better than what your decision activity actually is, all right? So have you ever seen people, or have you ever been in a group of people who are like, let's go to dinner, and everybody's like, yeah, sounds good, and then somebody's like, well, where do you want to eat? And the other person's like, well, what do you want to eat, right? Well, what do you want to eat, right? Somebody just needs to pick something. Nobody really cares that much. People want to eat as long as it's good, and most things are good, right? Then, people just want somebody to take control of the situation, okay? So it doesn't really matter what your decision, what your activity is, right? Because theoretically, when she's coming out to meet you, she should be coming to meet you to be with you, not to do that activity. So that is an important point as well, right? If you build up the activity too high, especially in your invitation or something like that, she's going to be focused on that activity, and that's going to be what's luring her out. Now contrast that to saying something that doesn't describe the activity or doesn't hype it up that much. Why is she coming out? Well, she's coming out to hang out with you. She's coming out to talk with you. And ideally, you want that to be the situation, so that the activity is not the main thing. Because when is the activity the main thing? Well, when you are hanging out with friends or people that you're not trying to get romantic with, you're more focused on the activity. Let's do this, right? Let's do that. But if you're hanging out with a significant other, especially if you're a girl, you want to be with them. That's the most important part, right? Not the activity that you're doing. Most girls are pretty happy to be with the guy that they like, whatever they happen to be doing. So making this transition from making sure that she's coming to meet you, not coming for the activity, is important. So that's another reason why it doesn't matter what your activity that you decide to do is, or where you decide to go, but it matters that she's coming to meet you, all right? That's another reason why she'll also come onto your plan and why she wants you to take responsibility, okay? So take responsibility for the line exchange. Sometimes you'll get girls who'll be like, let's exchange lines or something, but you can't really expect that. Just get into the habit of automatically taking out your phone, automatically starting the process of getting the line, right? Take responsibility for the escalation. So the burden of escalation is on you, right? So this is liberating also in a way, because it's also just makes it your job, right? So it means that it's just something that you have to do. It's a step that you must take, right? You can't really reasonably expect Japanese girls to start kissing you, start touching you, any of those things, although it is nice when it happens, right? So the burden of the escalation is on you. It is your responsibility. This also, getting into escalation a little bit, this also makes her feel more comfortable with it if you accept the blame in a certain way, right? This makes her more willing to say, oh, it just happened, right? Or even if she has a boyfriend, just be like, well, it's this guy's fault, right? Okay. Next, you want to make it automatic. Okay, so all of these things, so the line exchange, the escalation, the kiss, all of these things, proposing a date, because you have to do everything, you want to make it automatic. You want to get to the point where you say, look, I'm going to do this in every single interaction if I like the girl. I'm not going to wait around scanning her to see if she's going to accept or refuse my kiss, or accept or refuse the line exchange. I'm going to go for it because I know that women kind of like to play coy a little bit, like to be demure, and like to be pursued. And given that, making it automatic and making it so that she, if she feels uncomfortable, if she really doesn't want to do it, she'll say so. And you don't need to get too psychic, too cute, and imagining things which aren't there, right? So now this is a big problem that I had at the beginning. I would be like sitting at my, date went well, I'd be sitting back at my place, and she'd be sitting there next to me, and I'd be like, is she gonna, is she down if I kiss her? Is she gonna freak out, or is she gonna, right? I would try to be a little bit too psychic. I tried to get into her head a little bit too much, try to predict what she's going to do, rather than just doing what I wanted to do and see what she does instead, all right? So you should never need permission or need a certain reaction or IOI in order to go for what you want, all right? Finally, we don't want to worry too much or try to apply feminism or Western values to Japan, right? So you don't need to, if you're thinking, oh, I can't lead everything, that's taking advantage, or that's not how women have a say too. Well, yeah, that's true. Women are definitely equal to men, but that said, you need to lead everything, and this is what women want. If you read surveys and polls and things, women regularly write this down. Japanese girls especially, they want lead oshite kureru hito. People who will lead them is one of the highest rated things that they actually actively are looking for. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind also. Taking responsibility for the entire interaction, including its success or failure, all right? It doesn't really matter if the activity sucked. That's fine, right? Dad frame. So next we're going to talk about conviction, belonging, and assuming the sale. All right, these are three things which also fall under a little bit under leadership. So speaking with conviction. This is a very, very important little micro adjustment that you need to make right from the beginning, because so much of whether the open is going to succeed or fail is whether you believe in what you're trying to say, whether you believe in the fact that she needs to hear what you're trying to say. Okay, because if you feel like you're not convinced of what you have to say, you feel like you're interrupting her or harassing her, or if you don't have value to offer her, if you feel deeply within your heart that you are not valuable enough to stop her and take control of her attention for a few minutes, then that's going to come across in the way that you open her. And women are like mirrors, right? They're going to reflect back at you whatever's going on in your mind. So if you feel like you're not valuable enough and that you're harassing her, you're taking time out of your day, or time out of her day, you're interrupting her, you're bothering her, you don't have enough value to give to her. If you feel like any of those things, chances are she feels that just by the way that you're saying your opener. And what is she gonna do? She's gonna behave like a mirror does and reflect that energy right back at you in the form of a rejection, because it's not actually her rejecting you, it's you rejecting yourself in your mind, and she feels that, okay? So this is why it's super important to speak with conviction. Next, always feel as if you belong. And this, relates directly to the point before. So whether that's walking down the street, you should imagine it's your kingdom, right? It's your porch, it's your front lawn, right? Are you going to be like very timid and like not taking up space and watching where you step if it's your kingdom, if you are the king of a land? No, you're going to walk around it with your head held high like, yes, hello, subjects. Welcome. Yes, I will let you pass. I will allow this behavior today, right? Now, of course, I'm having fun with it. You don't need to be like a dick to random people, but it does help to imagine that you are walking through your kingdom, right? So talking to a beautiful girl is easy to imagine. Well, it's maybe not easy, but it helps to imagine she is your subject, right? If you are the king and you have a bunch of subjects and you're walking around, you're not going to go up to them and be like, oh, sumimasen, right? Is it okay if I talk to you? And doing all this like hand slicing, bobbing behavior that you see Japanese Nampa guys doing. You're just going to start opening. You're going to be like, you seem like a person here who needs to hear what I'm saying, right? Regardless of what you say, it doesn't really matter. It's about the way that you say it. So acting as if you belong is incredibly important, right? And this also applies to venues, to social situations, anything like that. Because women are mirrors, if you don't feel like you belong, they will make sure that you don't feel like you belong. They will agree with you in their rejection of you, essentially. Finally, assume the sale. So act as if your request will be met and people will follow you. And they will, right? Act as if people will follow you, and they will. Okay, so people, again, just like I've been saying, girls are a mirror. They will fall into what you assume they will do. All right, this is kind of like a mind hack. It's like a Jedi mind trick. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? This is the man you were looking for. And it sounds crazy. It sounds maybe like, magical or manipulative, but that's just how people are wired. Because ultimately, they don't know you. The women that you're going to be speaking to, whether it's in a club, whether it's online, whether it's on the street, they don't know you. So they have to infer some things about you very, very quickly. And some of those things is, how do people usually respond to this guy? Is he used to getting what he wants, or has he internalized this whipped dog kind of mentality? Where you see a dog with his tail between its legs, you say, oh, well, that dog has been kicked around all its life, right? It knows its place on the totem pole, on the pecking order, and it's pretty low, right? Compare that to a dog, which is very friendly and just runs up to you and like is very comfortable everywhere, and you immediately sort of know what kind of a upbringing it had and how people usually treat that dog. Well, it's really much the same way with people, right? So if you do not assume that people are going to comply with your requests, they are going to take that as an indication that most people do not comply with your requests, right? It's pretty simple human psychology, but this is very powerful stuff. Being a leader of men. So leadership is, I want to talk a little bit adding in the fact that leadership, it's not just about leading women, right, which is important, but it's also about being a leader of men, right? So if you're in a group of men, are you the one who makes the decision of where you're going to eat or what you're going to do, where you're going to meet, all of those things, or not, right? It's important to be a leader of men as well. And finally, handling situations. As a leader, it's a great privilege, but it's also a bit of a burden, right? Now, what does that mean? Well, it means you have to handle shit when it goes down, right? So if a dude gets aggressive, for example, a guy in the club starts getting aggressive, you're with a girl, what are you going to do? Well, you need to handle that situation. You need to handle it quickly and effectively, okay? Same thing, if there's a problem with the bill or your seating at a restaurant or your service, if somebody isn't treating you right in a restaurant, you have to handle that. And the way that you handle that is important. It's a chance for the girl to see how is he going to deal with this situation, right? Because ultimately women want to feel as if when they're with you, you're going to handle shit, right? Everything is going to go, you're going to take care of any problems that arise, right? And this is rooted really, really deeply in our psychology, right? Because a guy who can't handle shit, like let's say some dude gets aggressive towards you and you just have no way of dealing with you. You're like, what? I don't know, right? And the guy just starts pushing you, shoving you, and getting in your face. Like if you are unable to handle that sort of situation, right? How are you going to be able to properly raise a child, right? If she invests, her body and her energy into having a child with you, how is she going to be able to depend on you? All right. So this is that's not saying that you need to knock up anybody, but that's just explaining sort of why the psychology of why this is important, right? Why this runs really deep in attraction. Okay. Now, all of these things are critically important. Knowing that you're never going to get you might get some, but you're rarely going to get these freebies or these girls who are going to initiate everything for you. And if you're waiting constantly for her to do something or for her to start things, you're going to be a little bit left dry, so to speak. All right, guys, that was number 1. Stay tuned for video number 2 tomorrow. Cheers, guys.